And welcome to the week. Which week is this? Week 3 edition of Upon Further
No one
Review.
knows anymore.
I lose track of that with the week 0 thing. I lose track of the week 3. But anyway, welcome to the week 3 edition of Upon Further Review. My name is John Henrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, flanked on my left by sports writer Mike Kilroy, and on my right by sports writer Derek Pida. We are sponsored, as always, by Trail Buick Chevrolet GMC, Conlon Tarker, the Butler Health System, and Penn United Technologies. But anyway, looking at last week, Mike.
Yep.
Good week for Scoop. Good week for Scoop.
Was it? I didn't know what Scoop won.
I think it was. As far as the local teams, kind of a mixed bag. What are your thoughts on last week's games?
Well, my thoughts are Teddy Ruffner and Matt Goodland certainly showed off last week, didn't they? Combined, almost 800 yards?
Each?
Well, not 800 yards, about 700 yards combined and 10 touchdowns or something like that. Yeah, they were running wild. I was at the North Catholic Freeport game. What struck me was just how gutty and gritty Freeport was. They suffered a lot of injuries in that game, though, so it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from that tough loss to North Catholic. In Kern City, you look at that score, 42-14 against Clarion. You think, Clarion blew them out. But that was a 14-14 game at the half. Yep. So Kern City went up there and kind of acquitted themselves quite well. And SuperArks, they gave up a record to Ian Haynes, who did play. He broke the District 10 career passing record. But SuperArks got the last laugh. They won 35-6 because they were able to limit Haynes' damage. They let him complete passes for yards, but didn't break, didn't give up any points, really. So those are the games that struck out to me. I think now we're starting to see the team's identities come into focus. We're starting to see some trends developing. This is a part of now. We're getting in the mid part of the season. This is where checks are cashed, so to speak. So this is where it really gets nitty gritty for these teams. So I'm really excited to see what occurs here from here on out.
Of course, players don't get paid in high school football, but checks can't. Well, coaches can cash checks, I guess. So
you can still cash the checks on the field if you're playing.
Yes, you can.
Derek,
Derek, what are your thoughts on last week's action?
Well, I covered the Mars game against Greensburg Stadium, and I knew Teddy Ruffner was a tough running back. I actually predicted him a few weeks ago to win our scoring trophy this year. I did not know he is as fast as he is. He had 5 touchdowns last week, and 3 of them came from distances of 88, 71, and 50 yards. Pretty good. Pretty fast. He's fast. I asked him after the game, I said, "Are you on the track team?" He said, "No." He said, "I play baseball." And that reminded me, he's actually the catcher on the baseball team.
Yeah, yep.
So you don't think a catcher is going to be fast.
And he should be on the track team.
And just judging from the way he often runs, he inflicts a lot of punishment on opposing defenses. You don't normally associate speed with that kind of runner, but he's got both. And one other thing that hasn't been mentioned yet is Union AC Valley, 2-1. Coming up with a win over Kerwinsville.
Coming off of a shutout.
Just a win, but a shutout.
24. See, if Kerwinsville would have kicked the field goal like the Steelers did last time, they would
we
have.
don't need to go there.
But Union AC getting off to a 2-1 start. They actually started 2-1 their first year as a combined program back in 2016. So we'll see what they can do the rest of the year.
Yeah, I covered Knock Beaver last week, and there's actually not just a little bit of talk, but a lot of conversation in the Knock press box concerning the Eagles scoring trophy. I wasn't aware of this, but I was aware. But I guess I wasn't thinking about it. No Knock player has ever won the Eagles scoring trophy, and they're really pushing Matt Goodland for it. Not the coaches, mind you, but the guys in the press box really hoping that Matt Goodland can pull that off. Looks like after last week, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, we might have been 2-horse race for that trophy. We'll have to see. But long way to go yet. Things can happen either way there, but and. I agree. Union and AC Valley's won over Kerwinsville. To me, I mean, I picked that game, but I picked a tight game. Union and AC Valley took control of that game and defensively totally shut down Kerwinsville. So that's a very nice win for them. That's what I took from last week's action. Moving ahead then to our 2 topics for this week. Come up with these, wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Everyone knows how pass happy the NFL is these days. A lot of balls flying through the air, pretty much every team, every Sunday. I'm wondering
unless you're Minnesota Vikings, they only threw the ball.
Good
10
point.
times.
Good point. They did. But I wonder if you guys think when you look at not just our area teams, but all over the Whitfield, District 9, District 10. Of course, we have teams there also. Derek, I'll start with you on this one. Is the pass-happy NFL, is that beginning to filter down to the high school level?
I think it is. I think a lot of it comes from, just over the last 12, 15 years, so many of the rules that have been implemented benefit the passing game. And I think it makes it easier for, pro teams to pass the ball, obviously college teams, and I think it does filter down to the high school level. When you look at the college game, a lot of colleges, especially the big-time programs, they want to make their system with the scheme that they run attractive to the blue chip recruits who honestly think they have a chance to make the NFL. And obviously, if you play in a system in college that is similar to what the NFL is running, that's going to make you, if you're good enough, more attractive to the NFL teams. Mm-hmm. But 30, 40 years ago, you go back and you look at what teams were running in college then and the pros then, and it kind of filtered down. You saw a lot of those same schemes being run in high school. It's just back then it was a lot more running the ball. I will say one other thing. This is a little sidetrack too. A lot of teams still do run the ball a lot. They're just doing it out of formations that 20 years ago, a lot of teams run the ball now out of the spread formation, which 20 years ago you just didn't see that.
Well, look at who we were just talking about. Knock and Morris are two prime examples of different ways you can run the football. Mike, what are your thoughts? I'm seeing high school passing records, district records, seem to be falling left and right these days.
Well, football is a copycat sport, and everyone wants to do what the latest craze is. And the latest craze now is the air raid offense. Spread people out, go from the shotgun, throw short passes. I've seen every team, every game I've covered this year, one or both teams have done that. It's a copycat. It's just a copycat. Everyone wants to do what's cool and what's in.
Sure.
But you have to have the talent to do it. You have to have a quarterback who can throw accurately short and has a strong arm. You have to have that. But like Derek said, teams are still running the football. You still have to run the football to win in football. And teams are still doing it. They're just doing it out of a different formation. It's almost like they're dressing up the window different, but it's the same view. So, but back to your point, we are seeing a lot more passing even in Butler County. We have a lot more quarterbacks who are capable of putting the ball in the air 20 times, 25 times a game. So I think that also comes down to it's cyclical. I think in the NFL you're going to start seeing teams run the ball more, and then that's going to trickle down to the college and then down to high school, where teams have always kind of run the ball more in high school because of you don't necessarily have a quarterback every year that can throw the ball like an Ian Haynes or like a Zach Rocco or like a Gabe Lawson. You
remember that kid from Brookville a couple of years ago? He just lit up everybody.
So I don't know if I think it's just the nature of football is it's a copycat sport where people see what's working at different levels and they want to try to emulate it at the level they're in now. Like college, it's weird because usually it used to be college offenses wouldn't work in the NFL, but now it's almost indistinguishable between college offenses and NFL offenses at times. Look what Arizona's doing with Kingsbury and Murray. They're trying that college offense in the NFL, and Steve Spurrier tried that in Washington. Didn't quite work, but now I think the athletes are so used to running that in college that it's easier to run that in the NFL. And same thing with high school. I think high schools are getting on board that train. So I think that's what we're seeing. I think it's almost trickling up.
I really do think that football in general is trending toward the passing game. It started, of course, with the NFL, and I think college football. And you guys remember, was it Woody Hayes or Bo Schembechler who said, when you throw the football, 3 things can happen, 2 of them are bad. Yeah, but that's way by the boards now. I'm used to college football passing game that's just taking over. All over the place. And I think you're slowly starting to see that trend in high school football. So I think you're seeing some freshman and sophomore quarterbacks coming up in these high schools now who can really wing the ball. And I think it's because they've probably been doing it for 3 or 4 years prior to coming to high school. So I do think that there's a trend there, and I think the NFL kind of dictates this. It takes time for it to happen, but I think we're starting to see it now.
And football in general is becoming less about size and strength and more about speed and agility. So
Oh yeah,
and that's
no question.
that's easier. It's easier to
Yep.
find speed and agility in high school than it is to find big kids up front and just bulldoze people. So I think that's part of it too. Is coaches are seeing the benefit of, okay, let's spread people out, get our athletes in space, and see what happens. Because we have a ton of teams who do that now.
How many quarterback camps were there 20 years ago?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
great
another
point.
one.
Yep, great point.
I mean,
They're all over the place.
I mean,
now.
these kids are putting in so much work in the off season toward the passing game. I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Sure. Well, let's look ahead to our next topic, and this is I think, kind of interesting. I'm giving you guys the power to be schedule makers now. So you can look at any local team and look at their schedule, a team or teams they're not currently playing that you'd kind of like to see them play. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. You're the schedule maker. Who do you want to see play
there's one very obvious one. I think we're all going to mention this one. Knock and Mars. Knock and Mars should be playing each other. There's no excuse on earth why those two teams should not be playing each other. So it's a travesty that they're not. It's an abomination that when they play, it's only a scrimmage. But I'll move on because that's an obvious one. I'd like to see SuperArks and Kern City play each other.
Ooh, good
they
one.
used to scrimmage each other a while back, and now they don't. But I think that would be an intriguing matchup every year. They're similar in size. I think SuperArks a little bit bigger. Kern City has always had a great program over the last 2 decades, and SuperArks been pretty consistently good over the same time. They've had a few dips, but they've been pretty solid over that time. So I think that would be a really cool Butler County intriguing matchup. I don't believe those two teams have played. I didn't look back at the history, but I can't remember.
If they have, it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Probably before the merger with Kern City, East Brady, and that. So SuperArks might have played like maybe East Brady at some point, but I don't think they played Kern City as it is now. So I think I would love to see that.
Derek, before we get to your comments on this subject, it always bugs me that Mars is sitting within a stone's throw from Pine Richland and a stone's throw from Knock, and they don't play either one. That drives me crazy. What are your thoughts on your schedule making powers here?
Who's throwing the stone?
Yes.
Someone with a pretty good arm.
It's not that far. They're not that far away from those games.
Definitely, you don't have the same types of neighborhood rivalries you used to. A lot of them have fell by the wayside, especially this year with Mars and Knock, with Goodland and Ruffner going head to head. I mean, that would be an awesome game to cover, but an awesome game for fans to watch. But I think
we've been robbed by not having that matchup.
In the Whitbill, I believe, and maybe you guys can correct me, but in the Whitbill, the only week where teams are allowed to schedule a game of their own is week 0.
You're right.
Even the non-conference weeks, once you get into the season, those are scheduled by the Whitbill.
Non-conference games are handed to you by the WPA.
So
that needs to change too.
Yeah.
Why does the Whitbill
have
have the power to tell teams who they play?
In non-conference games.
In non-conference game, obviously to tell them who they have to play in a conference, but if it's your non-conference game, you should be able to reach out to anybody you want and play. Why should a district dictate who you play?
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more with that. Is what I'm trying to say. I see Butler playing Baldwin a couple weeks back, and instead of they could be playing Knock, they could be playing Newcastle, they could be playing one of these old. I can't believe Butler and Knock. I don't know if Butler and Knock have ever played in football. To me, that's crazy. I mean, you got the South Butler School District and the Butler Area School District, and they don't play in football, and they're not that far apart size wise. They could certainly play a football game. Like you guys say, the obvious one is Knock and Mars. But I'm also looking at I wouldn't mind seeing Freeport and Highlands play again. To me, that's a natural rivalry. They should play every year.
Freeport does play Knock this year again.
They do. That was not bad. Yeah, that was. But I'm old school. I agree. I'd like to see some of these old neighborhood rivalries come back. If I was a schedule maker, they'd be on everybody's schedule. Quite City Monfort, they're natural, and thankfully they still play.
It helps that they're in the same league. That also helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as the District 9 goes, I know Mars and Knock. They're in different classes, correct? So that makes it a little bit harder.
But there's only one division.
But as far as schedules go, that makes it harder. Kern City Monfort, they're in the same league, so they're in the same class, so they're going to be.
I would love to see a Mars Seneca Valley game. I really would. And that's only
Yeah,
one class.
That's only one class different. It's only one.
And I know Highlands has made a point to tell me that Mars is the smallest, the very smallest 5A team in the Whitbill. I'd still love to see that game. I mean, those two schools border each other.
Yep.
You know,
That's
Seneca
another
Valley
one.
with that
Yeah.
spread attack against Mars's wing tee.
How about this?
Come
one?
on, Scott, make it happen.
How about Butler?
We'll love you for that.
Butler against Union AC Valley. No, I'm just kidding. Those schools are too far apart in size.
Obviously so, but anyway. So there you go. We're all in favor of local rivalries. Maybe they'll come back someday. I'm not real confident it's going to happen, but we'll see. Moving on to our over-under category. This is one of our favorites every week. Again, kind of going back to the passing theme here a little bit. My first over-under for you guys is number of quarterbacks in our coverage area who will throw for 1,000 yards. It's key that this is in the regular season now. It's regular season. Over-under 4.5. Mike, what do you think?
That's a really good. It's a really good over/under to set at 4.5 because I've been going back between 4 and 5. I'm going to go over. Probably 5. Like I said, I was teetering back and forth on the fence between 4 and 5 when I was thinking about this question, but I really didn't know what I was going to do until just this moment. But I'm going to go over. I'm going to go 5.
Derek, what do you think? Over/under 4.5. Butler or quarterbacks in a coverage area throwing for 1,000 yards in the regular season.
I also have 5. Do you want me to name them?
Yeah,
Probably the same 5.
Yeah, let's see who you got.
I got Pelosi from Slippery Rock.
Yes, correct.
Gabe Lawson.
Correct.
Yep.
I got Zach Rocco.
Yep.
Correct.
I've got, depending on his status, and I understand he actually left last week's game twice with an injury, Garrett Schaffhauser.
Okay.
Correct. If he's healthy.
And because they, right now, from what we've seen, they don't have much of a running game, you need AC Valley and Luke Bowser.
Yep.
Ooh,
That's 5.
all right. I'm going the other way. I'm going under. I mean, I think I see the obvious ones: Lawson and Rocco. And I'll even throw Schaffhauser in there as well. He may get there. I'm not sure if these other quarterbacks are going to get there. And one guy, I know he's kind of under the radar this year because his team's struggling. The guy got a shot at it is Cooper Baxter, because Butler's going to end up throwing the ball a lot, and they get a lot of pass guys late in games if the scores continue to be lopsided against them.
Yeah, you're going under.
But I'm still going under. Yeah, I can see 4 doing it. I don't see 5.
What does Baxter have, right?
249 through 3 games. So he's kind of you have to average 100 a game. So he's a little bit under that right now. But
that could pick up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what kind of games Butler's
Yeah. So he's got a chance, but I just don't see 5 of our quarterbacks hitting 1,000. I think it's going to be 4. But the 3 that I mentioned and one other one, we'll sneak in there and get it. That's my view. Okay, the other over-under question, we touched on this earlier, though, the shows that Matt Goodwin and Teddy Ruffner put on last week for Knock and Mars, respectively, combined touchdowns for those two this week. Keep in mind they combined for 10 touchdowns last week. I'm listing the over-under combined TDs for Goodwin and Ruffner this week at 6.5. Derek, we'll start with you on this one. Over or under 6.5, Goodwin and Ruffner combined touchdowns.
I like the over here. I mean, Knox playing a struggling Highlands team. I think Goodland's going to get his big numbers in that game, and Mars is playing a Penn Hills team. Now, Penn Hills, I'm going to go into this later with the picks. Penn Hills, obviously they're a decent team, but I think that they're going to be able to run the ball on Penn Hills. And, I look at, you can say, well, maybe both games, especially the Knock Highlands game, could be a mercy rule later in the game, but you have to score touchdowns to get to that point.
Yep.
Somebody's got to score at least 35 points to get to that point. So I could see 4 and 3, either way, 4 and 4, 7 or 8 touchdowns combined in this game.
Mike, over under 6.5.
I think it's actually going to be way under.
Way under?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'd say 4 combined between the two.
Okay.
Penn Hills has a pretty good defense.
They do.
I don't know if Ruffner is going to score more than 2. So right there, now you have to go with 5 touchdowns for Matt Goodland.
If that was the case, sure.
He did it this week, but I don't know if he's going to be doing that every week. The nature of Knox offense, sure, Matt Goodland's getting a lot of carries now, but teams are going to eventually start to key on him, you would think, and try to take him away, especially in the red zone. So I think other guys are going to have to score for Knox this week. So I think he's going to score 2. I think Ruffner scores 2, Goodland scores 2. So I think it's 4.
See, I'm going under also, but for part of the reason you just mentioned. I think Penn Hill's defense will keep Ruffner from really going off. I mean, I think Ruffner's going to get his, but I don't know if he's going to have a 5-touchdown game like last week. And I think while Knock is kind of playing an overmatched opponent, in my view, in Highlands this week, I think their offense, they're going to work on doing some other things, and they're not just going to throw Richland out of the entire game. I think they're going to try to be more diversified. I think they may work a few more passes in there this week. I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going slightly under. I think they may combine for 5 maybe. I don't think they're going to go more than 6.
I think Johnson's going to have a big game for Knock this week. I think he's the second option for Knock in that running game. I think he might be the one that gets maybe 3 touchdowns this week against Highlands. Not Goodland.
Since we're going on the record here, I'll call it Ruffner 3 touchdowns, Goodland 4 this week.
There you go. All right.
That's fair.
Let's make note of that and revisit that next week. So we will move on.
That's a very interesting one there. We'll have to see how that.
Yeah, we'll see. Yep. Oh, that could be a no-runner every week almost for those two guys. but anyway.
Over under 10 touchdowns for.
We will now move on to our picks segment. We'll look at this week's action. Week 3, am I right there? Yep, week 3. Okay. Pine Richland 3-0 at Butler 0-3. Obviously, 2 teams going in different directions. The Rams, as usual, the dominating teams. Butler struggling. Mike, we'll start with you. Pine Richland at Butler Friday night.
Well, it's always hard for Butler in any game, but when you have Pine Richland coming in with their offense and their program, you're really up against it. You're just looking to execute what you can execute and just try to keep the game under control for as long as you can. But that's easier said than done. See Pine Richland winning 49-7 over Butler.
Derek, Pine Richland Butler.
You normally don't associate a junior, most times a junior quarterback as being a seasoned quarterback. A lot of times kids are stepping into a starting role as a junior. Cole Spencer for Pine Richland started last year as a sophomore and helped that team win a Whitbill championship. They beat Seneca Valley at Heinz Field. The kid made plays through the air, on the ground, all season long for that team. So he's a junior, but he's a seasoned junior. Pine Richland's closest game this year is a 21-0 defeat of Penn Hills. That's their closest game. So I don't like Butler's chances in this game at all. It's at home. That's the good thing. But 40-15 Rams. Yeah,
I do think Butler's going to I'll pop a couple in the end zone on Pine Richland. Might do it late, but I think that they're going to score against them this year. They've been shut out by the Rams the last 2 years. I'm picking Pine Richland to win 42-14. Moving on to Seneca Valley, they hit the road for the second straight week, heading to the South Hills. My something I grew up at Seneca Valley 1-2, at Mount Lebanon 2-1. Derek, you cover the Raiders. You saw them play last week. No, you didn't see them play last week. My mistake.
I'm covering this week.
You will see them play this week. Your thoughts on Seneca against the Blue Devils?
I think the game against Canemak this past week was huge for Seneca Valley. You don't want to start out 0-2 in conference play. So they got the win down there, but they're going up against the Mount Lebanon team this week with a balanced attack. This Mason Ventrone, this running back for Mount Lebanon, he's good. He's able to keep that offense balanced because their quarterback, Joey Daniels, has 6 touchdown passes already this year. So they got balance there. It's not like Seneca Valley's defense can focus on one area or the other. This game's at Mount Lebanon. I don't like Seneca Valley's chances in this game. They could obviously go down there and win, but if you're asking me, my opinion, 23-21 Blue Devils.
Okay.
Are you asking me?
Seneca Mount Lebanon. I am asking you. What are your thoughts on Seneca Valley Mount Lebanon?
I don't know how Seneca Valley is going to contain Mount Lebanon's athletes and potent offense enough to win this game. I think Seneca's got their offense going a little bit last week. I think they got a little bit of confidence going into this. So I think they're starting to get some footing on offense, but defensively, Mount Lebanon is a very tough team to try to scheme against because of their balance and because they're capable of scoring from anywhere on the field. So I see Mount Lebanon coming out on top of this one, 35-28.
Yeah, Mount Lebanon has outstanding lines on both sides of the football. That's where it all starts with them. They're very dominant up front. They control the line of scrimmage on people. But I think Seneca's going to hang in with them. I don't think they'll beat them, but I think they'll hang in. I'm picking Mount Lebanon 21-14 over Seneca Valley. Then we have Knock, the unbeaten Knights. 3-0, reversing last year's 0-3 start. They're going to winless Highlands. Mike, we'll start with you. And this one looks like a mismatch on paper. It won't turn out that way.
It's a mismatch on paper, and it's also a mismatch on the field. We talked about Pine, Richland, and Butler being two teams heading in different directions. So is Knock and Highlands. Knock's got to feel great about what they're doing so far. 3-0. It's the first time they've been 3-0, and I don't know how long. Especially after the last couple years getting out of the gate slow. They got strut to them. They're feeling pretty good. We talked about Matt Goodwin earlier. I think Matt Goodwin gets some yards, but I think Knock, like you said, they're going to start working on other things. I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit. They're going to get other guys involved in this game because it's going to get out of hand here pretty quick. It's going to be another mercy rule game for Knock. I see another 42-7 final for Knock.
Derek, your thoughts on Knock heading to Highlands? The Knights for the first time last week. They put together a total game last week.
Yeah. Highlands has lost their 3 games and they've scored a combined 18 points. So their offense is really struggling. And when your offense is struggling, that's putting so much more pressure on your defense. I think Highlands is going to be the lowlands this week for the Golden Crowns. I like Knock. Not as much of a blowout as Mike thinks, but I still like Knock 29-6.
I pick Knock as well, and I do think it'll be a blowout. I'm picking 38-7 Knock over Highlands. Very intriguing game this week down at Penn Hills. The Penn Hills Indians 2-1 on the year, hosting Mars, also 2-1. Derek, you cover the planets. We'll start with you in this one. This could be one of the better matchups of the week, I would think.
Yeah, Penn Hills won the Whitbill N-State title last year. Now, they graduated a ton of talent, including in that group was their quarterback from last year, Hollis Mathis. Now, he didn't put up huge numbers running the ball, but he by the end of the season he had about 500 yards rushing, scored 6 touchdowns. He was a threat to run the ball. Teams did have to account for his ability to run the ball. This year, from what I can see, Penn Hills doesn't have that. They have a quarterback named Eddie McKissick who's averaging less than a yard per carry. I think that's huge. When a defense doesn't have to worry about a quarterback running the ball, that frees so many more things up, allows you to do so many more things on defense. And I think that's going to be the key to this game. And I think Mars is going to go down there and win 27-13.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
This is going to be a good old-fashioned slobber-knocker. Both of these defenses are good.
Pro wrestling term. I like it.
Both of these defenses are really good. And I think yards are going to be tough to come by. This one is going to come down to who makes the fewest mistakes. And I think Mars is going to be that team. I see them winning a really tight 14-13 game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one. I think they're going to be banging on each other for 48 minutes? 48 minutes? Yeah, 12-minute quarters. 48 minutes.
Do your math.
Yeah, I got to do my quick math.
That's
why I'm a writer, not a mathematician, because I'm not good at math. So, 14-13 Mars.
Forgive me, Planet fans, but I'm going the other way on this one. I think the Penn Hills bring speed to the table. They always do. They have speed on the flanks. They have speed in the backfield. Mars, traditionally, historically, they struggle against the speed-burning type of teams. I think this will be. I do agree with you, Mike. I think it'll be a slobber-knocker as well, but I'm picking it to end up the other way. I'm going with Penn Hills 28-24.
That's not a slobber-knocker. That's a lot of points for a slobber-knocker.
That's still a slobber-knocker.
What, 28, 20, 52 points in the slobber-knocker?
Back and forth is slobber-knocker status.
Well, I meant slobber-knocker is in defense is dominating. I think that's more of what a slobber-knocker is, isn't it?
True slobber-knocker is played on a mud field. We don't have a mud field. So.
Well, yeah. True mud games are gone now, unless you play at Knock in late October.
Anyway, moving on. The Freeport Yellow Jackets still trying to get off the schneid. They're 0-2, and now they head down to Elizabeth Forward to play a team that is 2-0. Both their games were one-score games, but Elizabeth Forward did win them both. Mike, we'll start with you on this one. How do you do the Yellow Jackets get one in the victory on Friday night?
It all depends on how many healthy bodies they have for that game. like I said, I covered that game against North Catholic, and both teams really took a beating. But Freeport lost a number of key guys to injuries in that game, and I don't know what the status is on them. One of them, of course, is Schaffhauser. If he's out, then they're in a world of hurt. But they had other key guys, like a key offensive lineman, defensive lineman, a key linebacker, a wide receiver. Isaiah Bauman didn't even play. I don't know what his status is coming back. So it's hard to predict this one because of that. Because I think with Schaffhauser and maybe a couple of those guys coming back, I think Freeport wins because they played North Catholic so tough last week. No one gave them a shot to keep that game close, and they had a chance to win. They're up with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Got to make a call here.
So if they're healthy enough, I think they win. I'm gonna say they're gonna be healthy enough. I'm gonna say they're gonna win. I say 20-16 Freeport.
Derek, what are your thoughts? This is another intriguing matchup. We have a few of them this week.
This is the toughest game this week to pick for me because, as Mike alluded to, you got Freeport. It's not like you're just looking at their team and saying, okay, they're going to have we don't know what they're going to have this week. But I'm also looking at Elizabeth Forward. There are 2 wins this year come against Deer Lakes and Burrell, both one-score games, and neither one of those teams is projected to do much this year. So I think I'm I'm hoping that Freeport has enough when they get down there, and if they get enough of guys back and healthy enough to play the game, I think they win a tight, low-scoring 17-10 game. Yellow Jackets.
And John Gaylot's not going to let them go 0-3 again. I just don't think they're going to go 0-3 again 2 straight years.
I agree with you guys on this one. I think no matter who's playing for Freeport, they'll get one out this week. I do think it'll be closer than I may have otherwise picked because I do think Freeport is banged up. Clearly they're banged up. Whether these guys play or whether they don't play, but I'm picking the Yellow Jackets 21-14. Battle of unbeaten is taking place at Mars while the Planets are on the road, and North Catholic will be using the Mars field to host Central Valley. Central Valley is 3-0. North Catholic, of course, is 2-0. Derek, we'll start with you here. Battle of the early season unbeaten. How do you see this one?
Central Valley in the recent past has given North Catholic trouble. 2 years ago, they blew North Catholic out. I believe it was by 24 points. Last year,
North Catholic 1-point game, right? Last year,
it was a 1-point game, and Central Valley entered that game winless. Yep. And they gave North Catholic all it could handle. North Catholic won the game 14-13. I see that trend of tough games against Central Valley continuing here for North Catholic. I like Central Valley to win this game. They've obviously got a better team than they had last year. I'm talking about the Warriors. I like Central Valley to win this game 20-17. Tight game, but I think that Central Valley continues to give North Catholic trouble.
Mike, do you agree that the Trojans may taste their first loss this week?
It depends on which Trojans team shows up. Is it going to be the one that put 54 points up in week, this would be 1, or the team that kind of slept walked through most of the game against Freeport last week? Patrick O'Shea said after the game, I thought it was a great observation from a coach that good coaches can tell before a game starts what kind of game it's going to be, and he knew they were going to be in trouble because there was just no emotion, no what do you call it, football soul. Mm-hmm. The kids didn't bring their football soul. Now, if they bring their football soul against Central Valley, they'll win. But if they leave it at home again, then they're going to be in trouble. I think they're going to bring it. I'm going to pick North Catholic. I don't think they're going to have 2 weeks in a row where it's just going to be flat. I don't think they're going to be flat again. I don't think Coach O'Shea is going to let them be flat again. But it's going to be a good close game. I'm going to predict the same score as they won by last week, 28-20. North Catholic.
Okay. I agree with you on North Catholic winning this game, and by Kilroy standards, I see another slobber-knocker. And then this one, I'm going to go 14-10.
Another slobber-knocker. 52-29.
14-10. 28-24 is a slobber-knocker. I'm going back to that. 14-10. 14-10. North Catholic wins.
Look it up in the dictionary. A slobber-knocker cannot be a game over 50 points.
I'm not sure if that word's in a dictionary. Maybe it is.
I'll have to look it up. Next week we'll come up with a defined definition for slobber-knocker.
Montauk at Kern City. Normally a pretty intense rivalry here, but 2 teams off to different starts. Mike, the Warriors 0-3. The Gremlins are 2-1. Took a tough loss in the second half to get to unbeaten Clarion last week. How do you see this game?
I get this game. I always enjoy covering Montauk Kern City games.
About 50-50.
Because no matter what the records are, no matter what kind of teams each team has, it's always a good game because of the rivalry. Montauk, obviously, we've documented their struggles. We've also documented how Kern City might be back, but this is a rivalry game. I see Kern City win, but I think Montauk's going to make a good showing of it. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Kern City's going to win 38-20.
Derek, the old Warriors and Gremlins. What do you think?
I brought my soul to the game to the show today.
You brought your soul to the game.
You brought your football soul.
You brought your football soul.
My football soul.
Okay.
You know, Bob Ruttman, he's not going to have a problem getting the Warriors up for this week. I mean, this is rivalry week. It's Kern City week. He's not going to have a problem with inspiration, motivation, none of that. I mean, the kids know who they're playing this week. They know it's a big game. I just think Kern City has too many horses this year. I think they're back. They're a strong team, and I actually like Kern City to win this game by 21, 37-16.
Yeah, your score is not that far from my score. I do agree. I think Montauk, they'll be into this game big time. I think they'll hang with Casey early, just on pure emotion. But eventually, I think Kern City's skill will just wear them down. I pick Kern City over Montauk 35-15.
Slobber-knocker, 50 points is a slobber-knocker.
Not a slobber. Slobber-knocker is the closest of the game. How many times do we have to go into this one?
Okay, people, send in your definitions of slobber-knocker, and we'll see who's right. What do you consider a slobber-knocker? We want to hear from you.
Otto Eldridge going to Union AC Valley. I'm not sure which school is hosting this, whether it's Union or AC Valley.
I know.
Who's hosting?
It's in Reimersburg.
It's in Reimersburg. All right. Otto Eldridge 1-2. Union ACV 2-1. Dirk, we'll start with you on this one. How do you see this game?
Otto Eldridge 1-2, and their one win is against Cameron County. And Cameron County's.
They did blow them out, though.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
They did blow them out. I just it's a pretty long road trip for Otto Eldridge, although Union AC just went to Sheffield a couple weeks ago and struggled though. They won that game, but remember they struggled. I think a long road trip, I think that can have a negative effect on a team. And last week Union AC beat Kerwinsville 24-0. I like them to beat Otto Eldridge this week 24-8. Similar score, 24-8.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm on the Union AC Valley bandwagon. I might even be in a passenger seat on this bandwagon of the Night Falcons, Falcon Knights, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I always want to call them the Night Falcons because it just sounds better. But Falcon Knights, I see the Falcon Knights winning. I think they're going to put some points on the board against Otto Eldridge. I think they're going to score. I'll go with 32. We'll go with 32-8.
Now, granted, it was against Cameron County, but the Otto Eldridge quarterback, Cole Sebastian, last week, 25 of 32 for 428 and 5 touchdowns. They also had a receiver catch 8 passes for 220. I know it's caliber competition, and I get that. But I think the passing game of Otto Eldridge will edge Union AC Valley. I'm picking Otto Eldridge to win this game 28-21.
Wow, we're really got wildly different picks on that game.
Well, that can be a good thing. We're getting different picks on a few games here. Okay, SuperArks, my team that you're close in touch with. The Rockets are 2-1. They're going up to Sharon, another team that slings the ball around. Sharon's 1-2. However, how do you see this game?
Well, Sharon had a lot of hype coming in this year. They were kind of the Cleveland Browns of District 10. And they've kind of played like the Browns here so far. Very disappointing so far for them. But they do have a good quarterback, Lane Wojtek. Mm-hmm. He's already thrown for 561 and 8 touchdowns. But SuperArks gone up against a slew of good passing teams here this season already. And it seems like every week they go up against these guys, they get better and better. I think SuperArks gonna have another big win under their belt this week. I think they frustrate Sharon. They frustrate Wojtek. He's going to get some passing yards, but again, SuperArks going to keep him out of the end zone. I see SuperArks winning 28-6.
Derek, what are your thoughts on this one?
As Mike said, they had a lot of hype coming into the season. Sharon, they got off to an 0-2 start, but they did get on the winning side last week by crushing Fairview 42-0. Mm-hmm. How good's Fairview? I don't know, but the point is, they got back on the winning side of things, and Sharon has traditionally given SuperArks trouble. Slipper Rock beat them in 2014, and Sharon's won the last 4. But I mean, even going way back now, how much does a game played in 1998 matter? I don't think it matters.
They've had some real battles too.
They've had some.
They've had some battles. Huh.
But I think Sharon got back on the right track last week. I see this game being close, but I think Sharon pulls this one out 28-21.
Wow.
Oh, go with the Tigers up there. All right. Well, my pick is Slipper Rock because I agree with Mike's thinking. They faced some high-powered passing games before, but Slipper Rock, they can get to the quarterback. I do think they'll knock Vortic around a little bit. Sharon's going to get there. They're going to get some points, but not enough. I'm picking Slipper Rock 27-21.
All right, we got a definition of slobber-knocker.
Oh, we do. What do we got?
Thank you, Christy Hanna. And it actually kind of goes to your point a little bit. Here's the definition of a slobber-knocker. Especially in American football, a powerful collision or a match featuring unusual physical violence or intense play. Hence, also in other sports, an exciting game. So really,
there you go.
Really, the score isn't really that paramount as the exciting play. So, John, by this definition, you're correct. The score doesn't matter. I always just vision the slobber-knocker being a low-scoring football game. But
term exciting play though, it lends itself toward a close game.
Yeah,
it kind of does. So,
but you had a slobber-knocker, a 2-touchdown game though. I don't know if that's a slobber-knocker.
No, I didn't. When did I have a slobber-knocker?
Oh, maybe we called it a slobber-knocker.
No, it was yeah.
You were joking around.
You were trying to pin it on me, but no, that wasn't.
Okay, never mind.
All right.
So thank you, Christy, for the definition.
We do appreciate the effort in looking up slobber-knocker. Burgerstown 2-0 heading to Summit Academy. The Knights are 0-3. The Knights were part of history last week, by the way, kind of on a negative way for them. But Washington High School got their 700th all-time win at the expense of Summit Academy last week, becoming only the 4th Whitfield school to hit that total. So, Derek, Burgerstown, Seneca, do the Knights get one in the win column this week or not?
This is a tough opponent to try to get your first win of the season. Burgettstown's, what do we got? At 2-0. They're 2-0. They've outscored their opponent 77-8. No, 38-6.
That's right. No, your score is 38-6.
38-6, Burgettstown.
Okay, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Summit, they've been blown out every game so far this year.
They play some tough teams.
They have. And Burgettstown's another.
Yeah.
They're not as tough as some of the teams that they played, but they're still a tough team. I think Summit gets on the board a little earlier. They've been scoring late. It's been shut out. They've been shut out until like the fourth quarter, I think, just in every game. So, but I think they actually get a touchdown earlier against Burgettstown. But I still see Burgettstown winning. I'm going to say 36-12.
I'm picking Burgettstown also in a lopsided score, 44-12 is my pick. I do think Summit will get on the board a couple of times. Before we go to our last segment, you can read about these games and the expanded football coverage we have on the Sundays Butler Eagle. We've been working hard at that. Big section filled with pictures, and you guys will probably agree with me. Our Vote Talks this year are getting some dynamite football
We're
photos.
getting some great images this year.
Check them out in the newspaper. Check those photos out on our website or online, on our Facebook pages. Our football pictures have been tremendous, all our schools. And of course, we're covering with violent stories 6 or 7 games per week. So check out, if you haven't already, check out the Sunday Butler Eagle for our expanded football coverage.
One more thing I want to mention.
Yes.
We got to mention that our own John Henrietta went 10-0 last week.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Modesty prohibited.
He's due for a bad week, folks.
And how did Scoop do, by the way, last week?
9-1.
9-1.
What did you and I do?
Yes. What did you guys?
I went 9-1, and Mike went 8-2. No, I'm sorry. What am I doing here? Where's the picks? Yes. I'm sorry. 8-2. Yeah, you picked Kerwinsville and you picked Carson.
That's what you said.
That's right. I did. I'm getting the weeks mixed up.
So I've opened up
This is really week 4.
1-game lead.
That's why.
Yes.
So I've got a 1-game lead. Okay.
Yes, you got a 1-game lead.
All right.
In week 4.
Hey, a long way to go. No question about that. I expected a tight race all the way through. In our final segment, the how about something other than high school football? I'm shooting this week. How about once again Kern City's boys and girls soccer teams, who just seem to rebuild, whatever term you want to use it, Mike. These two programs continually just dominate their district year after year.
Well, we talked last week about coaches in football, what makes a great coach, and we kind of, all of us agreed that it was, you have to build that program first.
Sure.
It makes you as a coach kind of look brilliant when you have kids coming up who can play and know what they're doing. This is what's kind of been happening in Kern City for a better part of 2+ decades. They just have a program, a soccer program there, boys and girls, that they bring in talent, the talent cycles through, and they bring in talent behind it. It's just, you know, the names change, the jersey's the same, the outcomes are the same. So kudos to them, because year after year after year after year after year, they're good at they excel at soccer.
They haven't had as much coaching turnover on the Kern City boys soccer side, but the girls, they've had a run of different coaches over the last 10, 12 years, and yet it seemingly doesn't matter who's running that program, they continue to dominate.
They've been pretty consistent though. You had Lisa Castiglione, she was there for a while, and now Tracy Daly's been there for a while.
Maybe so.
Before that, I think it was
Joe Mashenko.
He was there
Joe
for a long
Mashenko,
time.
yeah, that's true. Maybe not as much as that. Jim Gwenninger's been at the helm of the boards for a few years. Dirk, what's your take on the secret of Kern City boys and girls soccer and why they're so good?
Well, there's a lot of different elements coming into play here, but the thing I want to talk about is every one of these teams. Every year the boys team and the girls team, they always seem to have freshmen not only playing but contributing. I mean, I'm talking major minutes, some of them major stats. And when you have freshmen coming up to a varsity program and contributing like that, that tells you that they have to have an incredibly strong feeder system in place. You're not going to have a kid come up and all of a sudden decide to join the varsity soccer team as a freshman and go out and score 25 goals without prior experience. They've got to have a strong feeder program. And speaking of the girls, I wish I would have had a chance to look this up to verify this, but I believe they have won 20 of the last 23 District 9 titles.
It's something like that. Yeah.
It's something 20 of the last 23.
Yep.
It's crazy. So
the boys won a ton of them too.
Not as many as the
not
girls,
like that,
right,
but they still won a ton.
They haven't dominated as much as the girls,
Right.
but that's hard to do. It's hard to win 20 out of 23 district titles.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're both playing for a District 9 title in late October.
That wouldn't surprise me. One thing I want to mention about the Kern City boys team, and I give kudos to these kids. Owen Colwell, Caden Shear, they're two key members of the Gremlins football team. They were at Clarion last Friday night, of course. Tough battle for a half, got away from them in the second half. Then those kids coming home from that football game, clearly banged up, had to be sore. I'm sure that was a physical game. They both show up for a noon soccer game the next day and contributed to a 4-1 win over Brookville. Owen Colwell scored 2 goals in that game. Caden Shear had an assist, and he runs up. I'm talking to Jim Grenninger, the Kern City soccer coach. He just runs the field all over the place all the time. In this day and age, my God, your thoughts on this?
I don't know how they do it.
These two,
I really don't.
That's incredible effort by these two.
I don't know how you can play football and soccer at the level that they're playing. Like now Colwell, is he predominantly the kicker there?
Yeah, mainly.
But Shearer plays.
Oh yeah, he plays both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball in football, and then runs all over the field like you said in soccer. I don't know how he does it.
Plus, you're talking about a road game the night before up in Clarion, and then a home noon soccer game the very next day.
I mean, the physical toll that has to take on
yeah.
him is incredible that he's able to withstand that. I can't give him enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
Or both of them. Really, anyone who plays soccer and football the same season, I bow to you. It's amazing.
One of the examples, one of the reasons why these teams won at Kern City, because they have kids, athletes that dedicated. That'll wrap up this week's edition. Tune in and check us out next week when we preview Week 4. Mike Kilroy will be in the hot seat here that week, and check out once again the Butler Eagle expanded coverage on Sunday.
We'll come up with another word that needs defined.